approved by the Minister following the review and recommendation of the Citizenship by Investment Committee. These approved projects provide direct employment to many Grenadians during their construction phase and provide markets for our farmers and fisher folks, in addition to further direct employment for culinary personnel, customer service representatives, artists, artisans, taxi and tour operators, to name a few, touching many sectors and lives when they become operational. To date, there are quite a few CBI-approved projects that are completed and operational. The Point at Petit Calavini, Villa and Apartments. Hideaway True Blue, Luxury Apartments. Mount Cinnamon, Villas. Mariposa, Condominiums. There are also other approved projects currently under construction, including Six Senses, Intercontinental Hotel and Villas, Grenada, the Beach House Resort, The View, Kawana Bay Resort, and St. David Agro and Cottage Incorporated. Grenada's Investment Migration Program, the CBI, continues to change lives through its continuous contributions to the development and growth of our economy. Grenada's Investment Migration Program, the Citizenship by Investment CBI program, came into being in August 2013, when the Grenadian Parliament passed Act No. 15 of 2013, referred to as the Grenadian Citizenship by Investment Act 2013. This allowed Grenada to commence its program to offer qualified individuals two investment options in obtaining Grenadian citizenship. 1. An investment into the National Transformation Fund, or 2. An investment towards an approved project in Grenada. National Transformation Fund. The National Transformation Fund, NTF, is responsible for funding government-sponsored projects in Grenada throughout various sectors, which have touched many lives throughout Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique, with some of the recent ones being in health. The upgrade of health facilities, Westerhall, Good Hope, and Victoria. The purchase of medical equipment, and the Electronic Health Information System. In agriculture, Climate Smart Agriculture and Rural Enterprise Program, the Carriacou Fish Market, and St. George's Abattoir refurbishment. In youth, the M-Power Program. In social development, the Grand Bacalet Juvenile Rehabilitation and Treatment Center. In sports, the refurbishment of the National Cricket Stadium, the lighting of the National Cricket Stadium, and the lighting of playing fields. In culture, the Sea Moon Cultural Center. In climate resilience, the Grenada Geothermal Development Project and the Solar PV Battery Hybrid Project. In infrastructure, the Hermitage St. Patrick Road Project, the Asphalt Works and Maintenance Program, the St. John's River Flood Mitigation Project, agricultural feeder roads, the Molinaire Landslip Rehabilitation Project, the construction, refurbishment, and extension of the government building, the Sutter's Breakwater Project, the traffic lights, and Mount Kuma Road. In infrastructure in Carriacou and Petite Martinique, road rehabilitation in Petite Martinique, the Petite Martinique Enhancements Project, the Road Rehabilitation Project in Carriacou, asphalt and concrete works at Carriacou, and the Carriacou Fish Market. Approved real estate projects. Approved project is defined as a project that is approved by the Minister following the review and recommendation of the Citizenship by Investment Committee. These approved projects provide direct employment to many Grenadians during their construction phase and provide markets for our farmers and fisher folks, in addition to further direct employment for culinary personnel, customer service representatives, artists, artisans, taxi and tour operators, to name a few, touching many sectors and lives when they become operational. To date, there are quite a few CBI-approved projects that are completed and operational. The Point at Petit Calavini, Villa and Apartments. Hideaway True Blue, Luxury Apartments. Mount Cinnamon, Villas. Mariposa, Condominiums. There are also other approved projects currently under construction, including Six Senses.
Pleasant good evening to everyone. Oh, I like this crowd already. Pleasant good evening to everyone. Awesome, we're going to have some fun tonight. Welcome to this very timely public symposium, Demystifying the Investment Migration Industry. My name is Nisha McIntyre. I am a licensed marketing agent in the space and very pleased to be your moderator today for what I look forward to as being a very important and impactful discussion about an industry that I know so many of us in Grenada have many burning questions about. Today we're joined with an online audience as well, so welcome to everyone who's online on YouTube listening and looking at this presentation. Today is all about you, giving you an opportunity to learn, giving the team an opportunity to share. And with that, I just want to start off by imploring God's blessings on this event so that we can really have a fruitful dialogue. So I'm going to ask Spiritual Baptist Bevis John to come and offer a word of prayer so that we can officially and correctly get this event on the road.
Good evening, everybody. Let's stand in reverence of God. We're about to pray. Be thou my guardian and my God, and hear me when I call. Let not my slippery footsteps slide, but hold me lest I fall. Father, today we gather here under your care and protection. We thank you for your goodness, your faithfulness, your loving kindness that never end. And we thank you for your goodness that never fails us. Father God, we thank you for each and every one that is present here today, those that are about to speak and enlighten us. We pray for them. We pray for your safety. We pray for each and every one that is present here today, oh God. We pray that you will be with us in our discussion today. We pray for guidance and protection, Lord. And Father God, we thank you for everything. We thank you for the rain that falls. We thank you for the evening that we have spent so far and the day that we have bring us through, oh God. And Father, we thank you for your goodness as we come here today in other name, but in the Son, Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Thank you.
Amen. Now, that being said, I'll just invite you to have a seat as I establish protocol. I just want to pay a special welcome to a few members in the audience. So with us today, we have Mr. Richard Duncan, who sits as the chairman of the Grenada Citizenship by Investment Committee. So welcome, Mr. Duncan. I also see Mr. Ronald Theodore and also Dr. Wayne Sandiford, who also sits on the committee. So welcome to you guys as well. I also want to say a special thank you to Mr. Thomas Anthony, and welcome, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the Grenada Citizenship by Investment Unit, and to Ms. Dia Forrester, who is a partner at Joseph & Law and also a local agent with All Star Limited. There are also members here from the Citizenship by Investment Unit, so welcome to you. Welcome to members from the churches, community organizations, NGOs, the Steel Orchestra that played for us. Welcome to you. And of course, again, I'm going to say a special and hearty welcome to everyone that's in the audience here present with us and at home. Now, this would not be an official Grenada event if we did not play our country's favorite song. And so I know I just asked you to sit, but I'm going to ask you to stand again as I invite Whitney Richardson from the Rainbow City All-Stars to give us a rendition of the national anthem. Thank you, Whitney. I would have joined in my singing, but I think we had enough rain today, so I'll leave that one for another day. At this time, we're going to move things along. I know we're a little bit tardy, so I'm not going to keep rambling on. I'd like to invite to the podium Mr. Richard Duncan, who, as I mentioned before, sits as the chairman of the Grenada Citizenship by Investment Committee, to give some official opening remarks.
Thank you very much, Nisha, and good evening to everyone. Good evening to everyone, both here and at home. I want to pay special respects to the members of the CBI committee who are here. I also want to pay special respect to the CBI Rainbow City All-Stars Steel Orchestra. Give them a round of applause. And I want to also pay special homage to the hard-working staff of the CBI unit. Stand and take a bow, make a wave. We have two, yes, Kishona. We have operations manager. Stand and take a wave. Be proud of the great job that you have been doing and continue to do for and behalf of the people of Grenada. If you do not give people information, they will use their imagination. And more often than not, they imagine the worst. Failure to give them information that they need, that they desire, or they ask for, will only generate suspicion, mistrust, and worst of all, leave endless room for detractors to spread their own version of things. At the CBI unit and committee, we are responsible in law for the governance and administration of the Grenada Citizenship by Investment Program. Despite its undoubted positive and significant contribution to Grenada's economic and financial well-being, there still exists a low level of understanding and appreciation of and affinity to the program. Through these engagements and others, we expect that participants will become better informed about historical, global, regional contexts of investment migration, how Grenada's program works, how risks are identified and mitigated, and the business facilitation role of local agents. As for the historical context, those of you who heard it before, I'll pivot to my favorite starting point. Paying a sum of money to become a citizen of a second country is not new. Investment migration dates back to biblical times, and I refer you to Act 22, verses 23 to 28, where the Apostle Paul was about to be flogged, and he asked the centurion, "Is it legal for you to flog a Roman citizen who hasn't even been found guilty?" When the centurion heard this, he went to the commander and reported it. "What are you going to do?" he asked. "This man is a Roman citizen." The commander went to Paul and asked, "Tell me, are you a Roman citizen?" "Yes, I am," he answered. Then the commander said, "I had to pay a lot of money for my citizenship. But I was born a citizen," Paul replied. Over the centuries, investment migration has taken on different permutations along the way. The 2013 Citizenship by Investment Act is our second attempt at carving out a slice of this $15 billion global economic pie. We have definitely learned from the failures and successes of our first attempt, which started in 1997 and ended in 2001. The most comprehensive and authoritative statement on how the CBI sits in Grenada's economic and financial architecture is found in a statement made by the Honorable Deacon Mitchell, Prime Minister of Grenada, at an investment migration forum in London, UK, in May of this year. And I quote, "Grenada's Citizenship by Investment CBI program serves as a financing mechanism to bolster Grenada's fiscal position for the advancement of the transformational projects and programs and to channel financial investment to approve private projects in priority sectors for Grenada's overall development." I continue. "Our varying investment options were created with a view to ensure targeted utilization of financial resources and broad-based socio-economic development." Unquote. Since its commencement of operations in 2014, the current incarnation of our investment migration program, the CBI, has approved 10,764 citizens as at September 30th, 2023. 13 approved projects are either completed, have started, are well advanced, and of course, there's one stalled. The program has generated $1.2 billion in investment resources for these various projects and has generated $1.3 billion for the National Transformation Fund. Here is a pictorial manifestation of some of those projects. We start with Grenada National Resort at Liver. And here we see on the port, I think about 2 weeks ago, over 40 containers were offloaded with concrete mixer, crane, pile driving equipment for the site at Liver. So work is going to be commencing in earnest. And we give a round of applause to Arong, who is here in the audience, for the hard work that they have been doing. Kawana Bay, we know it has stalled, but efforts are being made to see to its completion. Major infrastructure projects, we have proudly erected, very tastefully done sign at the St. John's River Flood Mitigation Scheme, that's in River Road. So that CBI has contributed to bring an end to the flooding and the danger that the St. George River has posed to the citizens of River Road and the businesses there up until now. The Monkuma Road, which is the major bypass, having regard for the Molinier slippages, and has eased the pressure and strain for citizens in the Montmorris area, as well as the motorists plying the Western Main Road. The Beach House, this is a boutique-type hotel facility that is nearing completion. They have generated in construction between 250 and 350 jobs based on the height and peak of construction. Their plan is to open the doors in March of 2024. So we'll have heads in beds and 74 Grenadians employed on a full-time basis. Don't be afraid, round of applause, as we like to see table knock. And then there's the Six Senses in La Sagesse. And here we see the drone shot view of this property looking out to the east, being the Atlantic Ocean. Another angle of that property. And during construction, at the peak, or during the period of construction, 1,200 jobs were generated. Currently, it's about 350 to 400 employees still on site, but they are aiming to complete and to open in February 2024. To be precise, February 12th, 2024 is the targeted date. And when opened, 194 Grenadians will be employed on a full-time basis. And we are not talking about the backward linkages to agriculture, craft, culture, and other connected industries. So a round of applause for 6 Senses. And here you have a night shot of the driveway into the facility and, of course, the facility itself. Apart from that, folks, let us be clear. Total receipts from CBI program, based on the period 2016 when it was gaining momentum to 2022, averaged 3.5% of Grenada gross domestic product. Its contribution to the revenues have already been mentioned, and I would say to you that in 2023, it will be a record year for the CBI is going to be contributing upwards of 28% of Grenada's total current revenue. So I repeat, given the undisputed financial and economic significance and positive contribution to our well-being, it is our task in the CBI unit and the committee to ensure that the program remains strong, viable, sustainable, and that Grenadians understand and appreciate what it is doing for us. Our panelists this evening are experts in the field. They have thoroughly prepared to present you with accurate, reliable, and relevant information. More importantly, as technocrats, they are sufficiently versed to answer all your questions. And I'm here in the event that there are questions in the area of public policy that they may wish not to venture into. So your answers will be forthcoming from a technical standpoint and a public policy perspective. So welcome once again, and let's have an engaging and uplifting evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Duncan. I think it's fair to say that we now have a proper view of just how impactful this program has been to our economy. I know a lot of the time we talk about the income that's earned from the CBI program, but now we're actually getting the opportunity to see the real impact that it's having on our everyday lives. I think the River Road project was a really good example of just how the funds from this program are being pumped back into Grenada in a way that it touches the homes and the hearts of every citizen here in Grenada. That being said, I want to take the time to just specially welcome 2 important guests who've come to this event today. Honorable David Andrew, my apologies, Minister with responsibility for education, and also Senator the Honorable Gloria Thomas, who's here, who's the Minister with responsibility for social development. Thank you very much for coming out this evening. At this time, I want to welcome our presenters to the podium and to the stage. We have with us, as Mr. Duncan said, professionals who sit at different helms within the industry. And I think together they can give a very thorough and holistic view of the industry from a macro level as well as from a micro level. So I want to welcome, first of all, Thomas Anthony, who is the CEO of the Citizenship by Investment Unit, to the podium, as well as Dr. Wayne Sandiford, and then again, Ms. Dia Forrester. I'm going to ask all of you to sit up here together. I know you're not presenting all together at the same time, but I am going to ask you to sit together. Thank you. Yes, the spotlight is on you, Dr. Sandiford. Now, I've invited all of them to sit together because I didn't want any one of them to be alone, you know? Today is about camaraderie and working together. So our very first presentation this evening comes from Dr. Wayne Sandiford, and he is an economist. And Dr. Sandiford is going to give us a macroeconomic view of the entire investment migration industry. Now, Dr. Sandiford was a professor of economics and law at St. George's University for over a decade. Before that, he worked at the OECS Secretariat in St. Lucia, the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank in St. Kitts, and at UWI in Jamaica. He also served as a permanent secretary in the Ministry of Finance and has served on several boards, including that of the ECCB, the Communal Cooperative Credit Union, the Grenada Ports Authority, the AML-CFT Committee, and GAFIN. He holds a PhD in economics from the New School for Social Research in New York and an LLB from the University of London. He has written several books on the economic union, VAT, and the banana industry, and several articles on economic policy, public finance, and electoral politics. He has been serving on the Grenada CBI committee since 2017. Now, that was a mouthful for me to say. Do you feel it as well? Whew. A lot to live up to there, Dr. Sandiford, but thank you very much. We look forward to your presentation.
Slideshow. Hold on. Slideshow ready. It's taking a while to respond. This shouldn't be here. It should be. Pleasant good evening to everyone. Is it clear on the screen? Yeah? Okay. Here is what I would propose to do. I'm proposing to do. Look at some of the common myths about the CBI. Just mention them and we can debate them in the question and answer period. Have a discussion of what really is the CBI. 3, look at ranking of CBI across the world. Major markets. Then we would look at the market for CBI as it relates to Grenada specifically and to some extent the world. And then we would discuss the 3 major routes to citizenship by investment under the CBI Act. So, some common myths about CBI. 1, that we are made second-class citizens by selling passports. Some people think that the fact that you are selling passport, you who were born in Grenada, would now become a second-class citizen. Again, we can discuss it in the question and answer period. Only corrupt countries sell their passports. 3, CBI provides cover for crooks and corrupt people. And I think CEO Anthony, in his presentation, would pointedly address this 3rd myth. 4thly, the CBI program smells of political corruption. 5th, and these are just 5, there are many other myths associated with the program. As the chairman mentioned, if you don't give people information, then they imagine and they imagine the worst. So this is some of the worst that some people imagine in the absence of information. The CBI is selling diplomatic passport. Well, let me just say this on this one.
The CBI has no control over the issuance of passport. Absolutely no control. So the CBI the CBI proper does not sell passports, and it does not issue passports. That is the purview. People that is responsible for that is the Immigration Department. Yeah? And the passports that are issued under the Citizenship by Investment are not diplomatic passports. Good. So, what really is this CBI? Well, it's a form of investment migration. So it's a legal form of migration where people are provided with an avenue to become citizens of another country. And in return, they will make some investment in the country. So it's therefore not mere selling of passports. And people through the CBI, and even outside of the CBI, I can give you an example for, in my case, I hold a St. Lucian passport. And the reason why I acquired the St. Lucian passport, because at the time, Grenadians needed a visa to go to Canada. St. Lucians at the time did not. So having the St. Lucian passport allowed me to go to Canada without having a visa. So people acquire these things for different purposes. Now, there's scores of countries all over the world that have some form of investment migration. Over 75 countries. The US has a form of investment migration. The US have a form of CBI, if you want to call it. Europe has, Africa has, the Middle East, Latin America, and the Caribbean. So it's not Grenada alone. It's a worldwide industry. In the Caribbean, we have St. Kitts, having CBI programs, that is, Antigua, Dominica, St. Lucia, and Grenada. So the CBI is not unique to Grenada. It's, in fact, Grenada is a very tiny part of the CBI, global CBI market, which is about $15 billion. But Grenada's attraction is the fact that the holder of a Grenadian passport can travel visa-free to at least 100 countries. Yep. So, for example, if you hold a Grenadian passport, you do not need a visa to go to China. Yeah? In addition to that, Grenada has a treaty, an agreement with the United States, such that if you are a Grenadian, if you are holding a Grenadian passport, and you want to engage in some business activity in the US, you can make your application to the US, and the US, if all works well for you, would grant you what is called an E2 visa that would allow you to reside in the United States. And that is the opposite equally apply. If a US citizen wishes to establish business, they come into Grenada and they establish business and they give them the right to reside. And that residency is invariably renewed over a period of time. Okay, now for 2023, the 7 most popular CBI programs globally, as documented by a company called CS Global. CS Global is one of the big companies that are active in the investment migration business. And in 2023, they have listed the 7 most popular, they have identified the 7 most popular CBI programs. Antigua, Dominica, Grenada, St. Kitts, St. Lucia, Malta, and Turkey. Yeah? So most of our OECS countries Antigua, Dominica, St. Lucia, St. Kitts, and Grenada are in the top 7. Now, ask yourself why, if we have all these myths about the CBI program, how it is this international company could identify 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of our countries as being in the top 7. Globally, that is, Okay. This ranking was done, I think it was last year, and they ranked CBI countries with CBI programs from 1 to, I think, was about, I don't remember, about 50 something or whatever the number was. But take a look at it. At the top was Dominica. St. Kitts second, it should be 2. St. Lucia third, Grenada fourth. I highlight number 12, Austria, which is an European country. So Grenada ranked above Austria. It ranked above number 10, Turkey, which is probably the country with the most highly developed, the most CBI program that is booming. Grenada ranked above those. Antigua and Barbuda was number 5, Malta 6, and so on. So that was a ranking. So it shows you that, look, well, if this thing is some corrupt business, then how come you can rank number 4 relative to a European country, number 12? Oh, the screen is not showing? No.
It's not showing?
No. Well, it's inconsistent with what they say.
Yeah. It's showing now. Let me see. Can you go full screen?
That's not full screen there? No.
Yeah, sure. Okay, let's see. Go full screen. Resume slideshow. Okay.
I don't know.
Showing what's on the screen.
No. Here we close that.
Which one is yours?
Hmm?
Which one is yours?
I don't know. They say the one that have a picture of me. So I don't know. Open this one and see. No.
Is it okay? So it's good.
You go right.
It's showing on. Yeah.
The whole screen.
Keep on here. The whole screen is showing. This is your next slide.
Our apologies for the lapse in the technology. I think we were at this point, but at the time I was speaking, this table was not up. Is that correct? Right. So let me go one piece up. This was not shown when I was speaking, yes? Right. So let me probably go over it again. And this one as well was not shown. No? Right. Okay, well, we'd have to backpedal a little bit. What really is the CBI? Again, as we mentioned, it's a form of investment migration that provides some avenue for people to invest in a country and acquire citizenship of that country. And it's not really the selling of passport. And there are many countries all over the world that have investment migration programs. You have them in Europe, you have them in the US, Africa, Middle East, Latin America, and the Caribbean. So it's a global business. In the Caribbean, we have St. Lucia, St. Kitts, Antigua, Dominica, and Grenada. So the CBI is really not unique to Grenada. And Grenada's attraction, as I mentioned before, is that the holder of a Grenadian passport is allowed to travel to at least 100 countries without having to have a visa. And in addition to that, holding a Grenadian citizenship and a Grenadian passport would allow you to acquire some residency in the United States through the arrangement between the government of Grenada and the government of the United States, where you are issued what is called an E2 visa. These are the ranking that I mentioned before. Grenada in 4th position relative to, say, Austria, which is a developed European country. Turkey, number 10. Turkey is probably the most vibrant market for investment migration. So we sitting in a good position. This was 2022, 2021, 2022. But more important, in the tabulation of this ranking, there were a number of different, what we can call pillars. So you have different pillars that are assigned certain points, certain value. One pillar was a pillar called due diligence. Now, what is due diligence? Due diligence is simply someone applies for Grenadian citizenship. We contact what is called due diligence providers. These are people who are globally all over and say, look, investigate this person for us and tell us, is there anything that you think should prevent that person from becoming a citizen of Grenada? Yeah? So they have their reach. So the due diligence pillar, under that pillar, Grenada was awarded the maximum score of 10. Why? Because they observed that Grenada has a stringent and comprehensive requirement. Further to that, they observed that Grenada has a robust external due diligence procedure, including underground checks, meaning somebody says they live at X address, they would go to verify that that person is actually living at that address. Yeah? Okay. And we also have assistance from international law enforcement agencies. So sometimes you run the applicant, Joe Blow, through the US FBI, run it through the British maybe, FIU would do the intelligence, Interpol may come in on it. So it's a relatively robust form of inquiry into the person who is applying for citizenship. And the CBI committee tries its very best to sift all those unwanted applicants. And in my experience, it has never been the case where an applicant was approved knowing that the applicant had a criminal behavior. And I can give you a very recent illustration of it, extremely recent. I mean, as recent as recent. Yeah? Someone applied, and it was found out after doing the due diligence that that person was arrested for stealing bags and purses worth $3,600 US. Yeah? And the person was not in prison, but they were given what is called a suspended sentence. In other words, keep yourself quiet for a year. Yeah? Otherwise, we'll jail you. And that person would surely be rejected. Yeah? 3,600. So that's the rigor of the process. The market for CBI. 2021, about 5.2 people became billionaires, given an estimated total of about 62.5 million millionaires in the world. And the projection is that in 2023, at least 125 would seek alternative citizenship and may very well relocate. And look at some of the countries where the most millionaires reside. In China, you have 6.2 million millionaires. That's a lot. Remember, the population of Grenada is no more than 110. Yeah? India has 769,000. Russia, 386,000. South Africa, 48,800. Nigeria, 15,400. The point about these numbers is that there's a huge market out there. Yeah? If you take China alone, it's 6.2 million. So even if you get 100 of that, you get a lot. Applications, where they came from. Over the period 2014 to 2023, we observed that most of the applications came from Russia. Russia constituted 42% of all the applications we received between the period 2014 and 2023. China ran second with 21%. Interestingly enough, we had applicants from the US, 1%. Now, we can ask ourselves, well, if this is some phony $3 bill program, why would Americans apply to it? Yeah? We had some from India, 2%, South Africa, 2%, Nigeria came in strong, 10%. Again, this is over the period 2014 to 2023. So the strongest source, our strongest source was Russia, 42%, and China, 21%. 2021, 2022, 2023, crucial years. In 2021, we noticed that China was its strongest source. 29% of our applications came from China, 19% came from Russia. Nigeria, 19%, and other sources made up 33%. In 2022, however, the coin was flipped. Russia took over China with 49%. China dropped from 29% in 2021 to 23% in 2022. And in 2023, huge jump. 75%, well, at least up until now, but not up until now, but up until March, because after March, no applications, we did not allow people from Russia to apply. So this number here is up until March. We had 75% of the applicants from Russia. China, 8%. What do you think explained that? Well, what explained it was the fact that we have this ongoing special military operations, as they call it, war between Russia and Ukraine. And in order to maintain the integrity of the program, it was decided at the political levels that we should cease. As of March this year, receiving applications from Russia. So there was a rush for Russians. Yeah? And that explained the spike in 2023. Huge spike, 75% of the applications. Now, what are the routes to citizenship? And I think the CEO might touch on that as well, but I would just mention it. And in the video, we had some explanation of the routes to citizenship. But let me just run through them quickly. There are 3 sections of the Act that speaks to the different routes through which one can apply for citizenship under the CBI program. The first route is under Section 10 of the Act. And basically, under Section 10, an individual would make a donation, a contribution, an investment that goes directly to the government of Grenada. And they would have to make that investment in the amount of $150,000 US. And once they are cleared, the character is good and everything, the due diligence is okay, then they make that contribution of $150,000 and they become citizens. The second route is under Section 11 of the Act. And that provides for citizenship through investment in approved projects. So you see on the video that we ran earlier on, a number of projects were identified: Range Project in La Sagesse, the Rivera Project, what's the other one? One in Mount Hartman, the Beach House. Okay? So you would have these people that we call developers that would come to the CBI and say, look, I want to do this project in Grenada. Okay? The project would be scrutinized and it would be approved. So it becomes an approved project. And the developer would say, or we would tell the developer, look, you have to put 20% of the value of that project into the project, your own money. Another 80% you would raise from investors. Investors here would be people who want to be citizen of Grenada. So the developer would go out there and say, look, I have this project. If you give me $220,000 US or $350,000 US, then we can arrange through local agents, lawyers in Grenada, for you to apply to the citizenship by investment. And if you are successful, then you become part of this project. So the investors who are giving the developer the $220,000 would have what you might call an interest in the property. Okay? So that's the second route. That approved project, I buy into that approved project. If I'm clean, I'm awarded citizenship. The third route is what is in Section 11A of the Act. And that provides for the granting of citizenship to individuals who make an investment in Grenada or who purchase an existing company or purchase shares in an existing company. So they can purchase a company or they can purchase shares in a company. We had some brainstorming yesterday at an activity called Investment Migration Roundtable, and a number of excellent ideas come up as regards to how we can expand the different routes for citizenship. And one interesting one is that, look, you can invest in government bonds. And if you purchase government bonds, and of course you have to decide how much government bonds you would require them to invest in, the value of it, then that could be another route to investment. So that's my take on it, and the rest would come from CEO Anthony and Dia. Thank you very much for your time and patience. Okay.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sandiford. I think it's fair to say that the investment migration industry is quite vast. I'm sure quite many of you learned something new here. Show me by a raise of hands if you are walking away having learned something new from his presentation. Yeah? Some of you all know a lot, man. But anyway, as you can see, Grenada is not just one of 5 countries in the world that has an investment migration program. There are countries in the greater world, in the first world, like Malta, that have programs. And there are different routes through which individuals can become citizens here in Grenada. And I know Dr. Sandy talked about the National Transformation Fund. He talked about the real estate projects, and he also talked about the significant investment option. The projects that we saw on the screen earlier today, like the River Road project that we mentioned, those are fed from the National Transformation Fund. So that's where that money is going. So that being said, I want to call to the podium someone who is no stranger to these sorts of environments. He sits as the Chief Executive Officer of the Grenada Citizenship by Investment. I mentioned him before. He's that guy right off to my right, Thomas Anthony. Thomas has been the Chief Executive Officer of the unit since April 2023, but it is his second time at the helm. He is a former commercial, retail, and investment banker with 26 years of experience working in banking and the financial security sectors in Antigua, St. Lucia, and in the USA. Now, he has served in several roles, including as a financial advisor, portfolio manager, loans manager, debt recovery manager, investment manager, and a wealth manager. His experience in this industry includes project development officer, deputy chief executive officer, and chief executive officer acting of the Antigua Citizenship by Investment Unit from 2013 to 2017. He was also global head ICV, Immigration, Citizenship, and Visa at Exeter, a global governance, risk, and compliance firm from 2017 to 2018, and as I mentioned before, Chief Executive Officer of the Grenada Citizenship by Investment Unit from 2018 to 2019. He is going to introduce you to a more micro-level view of what citizenship by investment really means for Grenada and the operations of the program from where he sits as the Chief Executive Officer managing the unit that overall manages the program. So without any further ado, Thomas, I invite you to the podium.
Good evening, Grenville. Good evening, Grenville. Thank you very much for coming out this evening on a Friday evening. We know that there are many other entertainment opportunities competing for your time, and so it's really our pleasure to have you here, and it speaks volume to the fact that you chose to be with us this evening. I also want to welcome those on the link and those viewing us live on GIS. Now, I know you're curious because you're hearing my accent and it does not sound local. So, let me feed your curiosity. No, I was not born in Grenada. My parents are not from Grenada. and I am not yet married to a Grenadian. However, I have grown to love this country, its physical beauty, and the warmth and compassion of its people. Having served here for a year before, 2018 to 2019, and on this occasion from March of this year. So, Mr. Duncan? Yes, I'm unfamiliar with your computer. So while we do that, I think that Dr. Sandiford did an excellent job of laying out the global, regional, and local context for investment migration. And I am going to spend some time just focusing on the Grenada element of that industry as soon as we can get the PowerPoint up and running. CEO, yeah. Okay. And just do the slideshow. Okay. You will permit me to observe the protocol previously established. Okay. So this evening, I want to just look at the process we go through when an application for citizenship is tabled before us. I want to talk about the due diligence that we employ in terms of making a decision as to whether an individual should be granted citizenship, who applies for these programs, what are the grounds for denials or ineligibility for the program. Dr. Sandiford talked a little bit about the demographics of the people who apply for these programs, but I will provide some color. The revenue we've collected over the history of the program, and more specifically, the 2023 so far, and what we do with the money, or what government does with that money as it comes in. Now, you would have seen on the video some of the government projects that are funded by CBI. There's a more comprehensive list. I won't spend a lot of time on each of them, but just put them on screen so you have a bird's eye view of precisely where the money is spent. And before I proceed, I just want to emphasize that we do not sell passports. We offer individuals an opportunity to apply for citizenship on the basis of having made an investment. And Dr. Sandiford spoke about the options. So direct contribution to government, an investment in an approved project, or the creation or purchase of a business entity. So, there is a tremendous investment migration industry, which Dr. Sandiford spoke of. And within that industry are operators called marketing agents. We license some of those marketing agents, and their role really is to market and promote the program in countries where people have interest in second citizenship. So in places like China, in places like the Middle East, in places like Nigeria and Ghana and other countries where the passports may not be as powerful as our passports. So in some places, you may only be able to travel to 50 countries without having to go through a visa process. Whereas with a Grenada passport, you can travel to more than 150 countries without having to go through the visa process. And so this is one of the primary reasons why people apply for these programs. So marketing agents, having been licensed by us, they go off into the source countries, as we call them, and they bring clients to the program. They, however, must submit their application through a locally licensed agent, and most of those agents are local attorneys, so that the local agent submits the application and tracks the application with the Citizenship by Investment Unit. Once we receive an application, we process that application in terms of the documents that are provided. Are they in keeping with the requirements of the program? But more importantly, we conduct due diligence. Is that my error or? Oh, thank you. We conduct due diligence on the applicants, which looks like the following. We contract with international due diligence firms, such as was mentioned earlier, Exeger, headquartered in Vancouver, FACT in London, and other such due diligence firms. They employ on the desk, desktop research, as well as human intelligence, that is people on the ground in the country where these applicants live or would have lived for more than 6 months over the last 10 years. And they conduct research in courthouses. They visit the reported address of the applicant to ensure that they actually live at that address. They ensure that the documents that they are providing us with are authentic documents. That means going to the institution which issues the document to confirm that that document was issued by that institution. So very detailed, comprehensive research on individuals. Criminal history, whether it be civil litigation, criminal litigation, but a very comprehensive research. Closer at home, all of the application information goes to the FIU, the Financial Intelligence Unit. They, in turn, submit those applications to an agency, a regional agency, which is called the Joint Regional Communication Center, or JRCC, and they have responsibility, in short, for regional security for CARICOM countries. And they vet all of these applicants using their sources, such as Interpol, other border security agencies, and other intelligence agencies. And we do not make a decision on an applicant until and unless the Financial Intelligence Unit give us a clearance. Where the Financial Intelligence Unit does not clear an applicant, that applicant is automatically denied. Once we would have determined that an applicant is a fit and proper person to be granted citizenship, a recommendation is made to Cabinet. Once Cabinet decides, the applicant or the investor is informed and they make the investment that they indicated at the beginning of the process that they would have made. So whether it be the direct contribution to government or the purchase of the unit in an approved project. Once they would have done that and we independently confirm that that investment has been made, we then issue a certificate of registration or a citizenship certificate. That investor, through his agent, then takes that certificate of registration along with passport application and other documents required by the Immigration Department to the passport office and applies for a passport. And this is why I said in the beginning, we do not sell passports. And so I would have gone through this process. So I'll skip this slide. Important here too, is the fact that the bank, Grenada Cooperative Bank, clears each application after having done their KYC before it comes to the unit. So the bank is also involved in the due diligence process. And if the bank says, no, we're not going to accept money from this applicant, the application is rejected. So who applies for these programs? According to legislation, you must be 18 years and older, and you must have the financial resources. I won't spend a lot of time on that, as we will have time for discussion. But essentially, you can apply as a single applicant, or you can apply with your family. A spouse, children under 30 years who are financially dependent on the main applicant, parents and grandparents who are 55 years and older, and siblings of the main applicant or the spouse. And so I want to spend a little bit of time on the idea that criminals, nefarious characters, people running from justice, apply for these programs and get Grenada passport. That does not happen, has not happened, and more than likely will not happen. And that's because of the robust due diligence process we engage in. But more particularly, when you complete an application form, there are certain questions that you have to respond to. And if you respond to it with a no, and we subsequently determine that you would have provided misinformation on your application, that's a reason for denying at the stage of finding out, or even after you would have been granted citizenship. So where you provide false information, where you would have been convicted of a crime in your country and has not been issued with a pardon, and Dr. Sandiford alluded to this earlier with this $3,000 case. So you would have been convicted, you may not have served time in your country, but that offense, there's a similar offense on the books in Grenada, and it carries a custodial time of 6 months or more, you're automatically denied, whether or not you would have served time in prison in your country. If you are being investigated criminally, you're ineligible. Consider the national security risk. Now, that's a very broad topic, very broad area. So it gives us quite a lot of leeway where that is concerned. Also, if you're involved in activity likely to cause disrepute to Grenada, you're ineligible to apply. If you've been denied a visa to one of Grenada's visa-free partners, such as the United Kingdom or the European Union, or China for that matter, you're automatically ineligible. And more closer to home, if you have been denied in one of the other CBI countries in the Caribbean, Antigua, St. Lucia, Dominica, or St. Kitts, you are ineligible to apply for the program. And these are just examples of some of the questions that you must answer, respond to. And as I said, if it's found later that you would have provided misinformation, it's a reason to deny you. I won't spend a lot of time on this, but just to point you to the fact that through the act and through the forms that an investor completes, we have the opportunity to deny just based on the responses that are given. So where citizenship or individuals have been granted citizenship from. So before the war, as was mentioned earlier, China had the lion's share. But we now see a tremendous shift to Russia. And I just wanted to provide some color, a little more color. Doc Sandiford did a very good job of talking about the fact that the Russian war fed the Grenada program. But that happened also because after the war, the number of countries available to Russian citizens shrank from 25 to about 5 countries. And then for a period of time, Grenada was the only country in the region accepting Russian applications. And as a result of the war, more people wanting to leave Russia had 5 choices, 1 in the Caribbean. It was Grenada. And so it created a tremendous flow of applications to the Grenada program, which ended on the 31st of March, 2023, but created a significant backlog of applications, which we are now going through the process with. I just want to provide you with also some revenue information. So you would see that in 2019, we earned $118.6 million from the CBI. In 2023, that number is now 324 million EC dollars, and the year is not over yet. This is going to be our apex year. It's a year of record-setting revenues, application intake, application processing for the Grenada program. And we expect to see not similar numbers, but close to this number in 2024 as well, because of that Russian pipeline I spoke about earlier. Where the money is spent. I think the video did a good job of giving you a summary of what government projects have received funding over the years from the CBI receipts. But just to say that, yes, monies have been received and the monies have been spent responsibly in government projects. It's a comprehensive list and available to you. I believe that we will have this posted on our website, Carleen, or we can have it available to anyone who wishes to have access to it. I won't waste any more of your time. We'll be available for questions and answer once Dia is finished with her presentation. Thank you very much for coming out. Thank you for giving me the time.
Thank you very much, Thomas. I think it's safe to say from his presentation that we learned that Grenada is not only performing very well and attracting high volumes of investors, but that Grenada pays particular attention to its due diligence. And I just want to highlight here again the fact that we conduct robust due diligence. You have due diligence that is done, first of all, at the stakeholder level, the marketing agent, the local agent, and then you have the bank that again conducts due diligence and acts as a gateway to the program before you finally have the robust and final DD that is done by the Citizenship by Investment Unit through their DD providers. So thank you so much for clearing that part up and letting us know a little bit more about how the unit operates and the ins and outs of the program. Now, as Thomas mentioned, there are different stakeholders within the industry, and one such stakeholder is the local agent. And I'm really pleased that today we have a local agent with us, Ms. Dia Forrester, who's not only a local agent, but also a partner at a law firm. Now, Dia is I would like to say, a former colleague of mine. We went to school together, but beyond that, she previously served as the Attorney General and Solicitor General of Grenada. Now, during that time, she successfully led Grenada's Caribbean Financial Action Task Force, mutual evaluation team, examining Grenada's measures to combating anti-money laundering and counter-terrorist financing. Now, she's also a prior member of the Grenada Citizenship by Investment Appeals Tribunal, assessing appeals to denial of citizenship by investment applications. Now, Ms. Forrester has over 15 years of professional experience in law, due diligence, and investment migration. She also has extensive experience in corporate and project financing, inclusive of debt and equity financing, mergers and acquisitions, corporate, joint venture, and shareholder issues, claims involving financial institutions and banks, contractual law motions, judicial review, energy law with a focus on renewable energy, inclusive of geothermal energy and real estate development. She holds a Bachelor of Law degree with honors from the University of the West Indies, a legal education certificate of merit from the Hugh Wooden Law School, and a Master's of Law degree in International Banking and Finance Law with merit from University College London. I think it's safe to say that she has earned her keep in terms of being very present and active within this dynamic space. So without further ado, I'd like to call her to the podium to give us some insight of what the CBI industry looks like from the perspective of a local agent.
I think so. Good evening, everyone. As you imagine, I have to adjust the mic because I am not as tall as the others. I am pleased to be present and to address you as a local agent in the context of Grenada's CBI program. Now, local agents in CBI are responsible for the submission of applications to the CBI unit. As local agents, we have a salient role to play in the process of who may eventually become a Grenadian. To put it differently, but for the office of a local agent submitting an application, the CBI unit cannot be engaged to consider any requests for citizenship in the CBI program. The CBI process starts with us as local agents. We are the first limb. We can be viewed as a big wall between applicants and the CBI unit. We are the middlemen, the intermediaries, functioning as gatekeepers, guards, or protectors between applicants and the CBI unit. As the first limb that potential applicants encounter in the CBI process, we essentially have the first opportunity to decide whether that individual who is showing an interest in being Grenadian can actually be an applicant in Grenada's CBI program. That means, simply put, local agents are the ones dubbed with the responsibility to take a first look at potential applicants and decide whether that individual should be an applicant in Grenada's CBI program. How we, as local agents, make that decision is critical and meticulous because the CBI unit has guidelines, the bank has guidelines, the Anti-Money Laundering and Counter-Terrorism Commission has guidelines, there's the Proceeds of Crime Act, all of which we must be familiar with and comply with. That is alongside just regular professional standards for doing business and not wanting to be associated with questionable people or illegal activities. I must state that not everyone who wants or who comes to a local agent to be our client and a CBI applicant gets to be our client or a CBI applicant. In explaining to you how local agents fit into the CBI program, I'll explore 6 matters related to local agents to help you better appreciate our role: onboarding, risk analysis, documentation, the bank, the CBI unit, post-approval. As local agents, we have an onboarding process. That process may vary from agent to agent, but the objective of the onboarding process is constant. We want to know who you are and whether you are a suitable person to do business with. So, we may meet with you, we may speak with you, we will communicate with you via email as we focus in on you and inspect you, because we need to start to get to knowing who you are. That is in keeping with our legal and regulatory obligations to know who we are doing business with. Of course, beyond just our legal and regulatory obligations, again, as professional business people, we just want to know who we are doing business with. And why do we want to know that? It is to decide whether you are a suitable person to do business with, and in this instance, a suitable person to participate in Grenada's CBI program. To decide whether you are a suitable person to do business with, we conduct due diligence on you as a potential client wanting to be a potential CBI applicant. We conduct a risk analysis of whether you are a high, medium, or low-risk person. Keywords here, potential client, because at that stage, that person is not yet our client, as we have not decided or agreed as yet to be your local agent. We are still getting to know them. So to get to know them, we start collecting data on this potential client and potential applicant. We ascertain from individuals upfront personal information, such as their names and addresses. We take a copy of their passport bio data page and at least one other form of identification. Likewise, information as to the occupation and the employer, and that is usually sufficient for us to do our preliminary due diligence check on the potential client. Once we have that information, we start our examination and screening of that individual, and we as local agents too use trusted international third-party resources that has data and intelligence on people worldwide to see what we are finding out about the potential client wanting to take part in the CBI program. Some potential clients are caught off guard by these checks because once we use their data to run these checks, we gather lots of intelligence on them. We are alerted to hidden threats, links between them and entities. We find out if there are persons on sanctions lists, if the person is a politically exposed individual, prior convictions, whether they are individuals who require further scrutiny. We in turn use that data we obtain to analyze whether they are a high, low, or medium risk person and their family too. Now, the higher your risk rating from our checks, the less likely we are to do business with you. But we know systems are not perfect, so based on what we find, we may ask further questions, especially when we find things that present as red flags, because we give potential clients an opportunity to clarify those things, and then we make a subjective assessment of whether we are agreeable to be your local agent. Now, as local agents, we want to submit applications from individuals who are going to get approved, and not individuals whose applications will be denied, because we do not want to be the local agent whose clients' applications are always being refused. Some things are non-starters in our risk analysis, and Mr. Anthony referred to some of them. If your data shows you are a criminal, it is a non-starter because the CBI legislation says that. If you are on a sanctions list, you are not likely to make it through, so why bother? The tricky ones, though, are individuals who have common names from similar places. To put it into context, local context, for instance, a common name in Grenada is Charles. I am a Charles. If I have a potential client named Sandra Charles, and our check shows several people with the name Sandra Charles and some are red flagged, we will have to dig deeper to determine if you are the red flagged Sandra Charles. It's important to state that our risk analysis is not merely going through a checklist, as risk analysis is a subjective examination of personal information. When we examine you, we place you either as high, medium, or low, and we are most likely not going to agree to be your local agent if you are high risk. If you are low risk, that is ideal. If you are medium, we may do so on a case-by-case basis. In fact, there are some agents who will not do business with anyone who is not low risk. So once, as local agents, we are satisfied that you pass our initial assessment and screening and get through with our onboarding, then we proceed to formalize our relationship with you as a client. We shake hands on it, we sign our retainer agreement, and get ready to start your application process. To start the application process, we provide you with the documentation needed to participate in the CBI program. We have CBI forms. These forms are extremely detailed forms and quite intrusive. Most people find it very tedious to put together information for the form, but it is unavoidable, and if you wish to participate in the program, you have to do it and do it properly. As local agents, we go through these forms item by item to ensure that the forms are completed in full, that the supporting documents are in their required format, and that the information filled in on forms are in keeping with the supporting documents we receive. So we check for inconsistencies. If we are seeing inconsistencies, we have the client address them. If we are seeing omissions, we have the client address them. If I am going through a form and I see a visa denial to a country where Grenada has visa-free travel, then I would not submit the application because, as Mr. Anthony indicated, that's a non-starter. So once we are satisfied, having gone through your documents, that your documents are in order, then we are in a state of readiness to take the next step in your application. So we issue you with an invoice to pay your due diligence fees to the government and your local agent fees, which invoice you have to pay before your application is submitted to the CBI unit. Those funds are paid through our bank. So our client, the intended CBI applicant, has to get past our bankers. So that is after we onboard and we formalize our relationship with our client as a local agent and put together their documents, the next step is not submitting the application to the CBI unit. The next step is to get clearance from the bank that processes CBI-related transactions and funds, as we are at the stage of monies coming now from that client. As local agents, we have to provide the bank with our client's information to allow the bank to do its source of wealth clearance and source of funds clearance, so that we can receive funds to pay for our client's application and to get paid as local agents. I highlight here that the Bank in Grenada's source of wealth clearance is not a feature of the process, for example, in St. Kitts and Nevis, as the sole bank there, they do merely source of funds clearance only. That procedure from the Bank in Grenada automatically makes Grenada's CBI a more rigorous and robust process. So, key point, even prior to submitting an application to the CBI unit as a local agent, our bank has to clear our client as one whose funds it is prepared to receive. That can be frustrating for clients because it takes time for the bank to do its part. As local agents, we are hopeful that the bank does not find anything that will make it say no, because it means that is the end of our business relationship with the clients. We cannot get funds, and we cannot submit that application to the CBI unit because that person was not suitable for the CBI program. As local agents, we have to interact with the bank and help get our client that clearance. We try to be as thorough as we can be upfront to make the bank's work easier. Hiding information that may be a red flag is useless because it may be found. So our relationship with the bank as local agents is important, and but that relationship by no means impairs the bank from doing its job, what it has to do. The bank is a regulated entity, and they have legislation to comply with, best practices and international standards, and standards for its corresponding banking. The risk my client as a local agent poses to the bank must be determined by the bank. So when the bank says they need things, I give them everything. The bank says it wants more, I tell the client give more. I say be generous. If you have doubts as to something in your life, be upfront. It is the better approach and increases your chances of getting clearance. The bank is either going to approve, deny, accept, or reject your funds. My job as a local agent is to help my client be thorough and upfront with the bank so his funds or her funds can be cleared. If we get past the bank, that is when we as local agents can go to the CBI unit and submit an application. As the CBI intermediary with the unit, we put together all the information of the client and submit the application. We now submit applications electronically, so I can't say we put it in an envelope and drop it off anymore. If we did our job well as local agents, the CBI unit's job starts off easy at least. That means we have no omissions on the CBI forms that have not been addressed. The supporting documents are in the required format, and the CBI unit can say, we have received your application and it is being processed. If not, then even before the application starts, as local agents, it gets complicated because the CBI unit will be saying, your client's application is missing information, it is incomplete. That means as a local agent, I have to go to the client and get that information, and that is inefficient, it's piecemeal, and it lengthens everything. So we aim to get it right from inception and have everything in order. Once the CBI unit deems the application to be in order, and it starts processing the application, the unmasking of the applicant's life starts. As the unmasking process takes place, as local agents, we are patiently waiting to hear good news or bad news or be told we need further information. As a local agent, I much prefer to be told I need more information than to receive bad news. If the CBI unit needs more information, as a local agent, I have the client present more information. Some clients will say, why did they not ask for this before? This information is irrelevant. Why do they want it? Some will ask, but you should have known the CBI unit would want this. As a local agent, I have to manage that client, the client's expectations, the client process, so that they are not frustrated, but instead are focused on meeting the CBI unit's requirements, because otherwise the application will not progress. A fragmented approach to putting together an application lends itself to the CBI unit taking longer to process applications and negatively affects my reputation as an efficient and effective local agent. Clients do not tell their friends of their omissions, just that this local agent is slow and keeps asking for things. Likewise, that Grenada's CBI program is slow. So as a local agent, it is crucial that I am thorough with the documentation for CBI and be a good manager of my client. But as a local agent, I have no control on whether the CBI unit and ultimately the cabinet accepts, rejects, approves, or denies an application that I submitted. But if an application is approved, we are all happy. I inform the client of the approval and that it is time to make the payment, either the contribution to the National Transformation Fund or the government contribution fees payable under the real estate option, together with proof that the investment fee was paid to the developer. And that sum has to be paid within a 30-day period. If not paid, we get a warning from the CBI unit saying that the investment funds are due, it has to be paid, and most clients then pay without further delay. Thank you.
I think it's safe to say we had a very detailed and intricate view of what happens from the local agent perspective. I really want to thank Dia again for her presentation. Second round of applause, please. It's good to know that the bank not only helps to mitigate, the inflow of individuals who are undesirable into the program, but that it forces local agents to have buy-in as well, because you don't get paid if that application is not cleared. So everyone has skin in the game. So we thank the Cooperative Bank for their input in managing the gateway to our program. Now, at this time, I want to open up the floor to everyone that is here, as well as to those who are viewing online, just to ask any of the questions that you may have from any of the presentations that were given here. I know quite a lot of information was shared, so I'm sure 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 of you may have some questions. I see one right over there. Can you come to the mic?
Good night, everybody. So I've been here and I've been listening to the entire thing, and it has been edifying, right? It has been very edifying. I've learned some new things coming here, but I do have a question that I think warrants answering. It is a 3-pronged question. I wrote it down so that I would be able to give it in the best way possible, right? And it's mostly addressing not just this citizenship by investment program, but how it directly relates to the Grenadian people themselves. So what I wanted to ask is, how do we intend to tackle the disconnect between the Grenadian people, right, and the actual goals of the CBI program? Because we know about the rampant misinformation, right, and the myths, as the doctor made mention too, right, some of the myths that are floating around. How do we tackle some of the bad actors who may be actively spreading misinformation about the CBI program? And what strategies are we implementing currently or are planning to implement to better educate the Grenadian people? Thank you.
Should I take that one first, colleagues? Yes, thank you. Very, very important and pertinent question. So thank you for that. So this evening is one of the ways, this is an example of one of the ways we intend on countering the misinformation in the country, right? The misinformation in media and in other spaces. So coming directly to you, the people, to provide you with factual information, updated information about how the program actually operates, and to give you as much information as possible in terms of the performance of the program and where the funds are spent. I think having these kinds of engagements is really important in that sense. And so last year there was a similar event in St. George. We chose to come to Grenville this year. And in 2024, we will begin doing these twice a year so that we will have 2 opportunities to engage with the public, to provide information. Additionally, we have just promoted an employee at the unit, the CIU, who is the marketing and communications officer. And so having done that, that individual will be engaging with the media, social media, and conventional media to provide information periodically to the public. Does that answer your question? So this is the part of the town hall that I like the most, where we get to address your particular concerns. So please don't be shy. Come up to the mic. No question is a stupid question. We are eager to respond to your concerns.
Any other questions from the floor? I do have one from online. How much does government get from Section 11 investors?
So it starts at, so the Section 11 is, as we spoke about earlier, the approved projects. And so individuals are required to invest a minimum of $220,000 in a tourism project or $350,000 in a non-tourism project. Government gets $50,000 so that the total minimum investment is $270,000 or $400,000, and the amount of the government contribution increases based on the number of people on the application. So it starts at $50,000 and increases based on the number of people who are part of the application.
Okay. And as a follow-up, they're also asking, what's the rate of rejections that we get here at the program?
I believe the current rate is about 4%. Now, it may sound like a low rejection rate, but we spoke of some of the reasons why that is low. One is at the local agent level, after they would have done their KYC or their due diligence, they can make determinations as well as to whether an applicant is a good and proper person to be presented to the unit. That's one layer. The other layer is at the bank, where the bank would have received information on the application or on the applicant, done their KYC, and determined that that is not an individual who they will receive money from. And so, again, that's one layer of rejection. And there is interaction between the unit and marketing agents as they attempt to put an application together. They will come to us with questions, scenarios. So this person has this particular issue. Will they qualify? And at that stage, we have an opportunity to reject the application. So though we may have 4%, there is a higher number that does not actually get into the program or into the unit.
Thank you, Thomas. Are there any other questions from the floor? Anybody else would like to ask a question of our panelists? I do have another one from online, though. The online audience is very engaged, it seems. So there seems to be some, I guess, concern following what happened with Dominica. So one of the viewers is asking, will the issue with visa to Europe reduce the number of CBI applications 2024 and onwards? And do you see this as a problem? And will we lose our E2 visa?
That's me again. Okay, that's a heavy one. Okay, so the issue with Europe, by that I am assuming that we are talking about the ETIAS, so the introduction of pre-registration for individuals with visa-free access to Europe. So currently, an individual with a Grenadian passport can go to the airport and purchase a ticket tomorrow or this evening and fly to any European country, any Schengen country. This deadline has been pushed back many times by the European Union, but the ETIAS essentially, which I believe now the deadline is May this year, will call for pre-registration before you travel. So you will have to go online, register your itinerary, and get authorization. So you'll have to wait for authorization before you can travel. So I believe the question is, if we anticipate a reduction in demand as a result of having to go through this additional step. And my short answer is no. And the reason is because everyone across the globe who is not European will have to pre-register to go into Europe. So it does not provide any disadvantage to Grenadians or individuals holding a Grenadian passport. Anisha, you remind me of the other part of the question?
The second part related to the E2 visa and the question of whether or not you think we may lose our E2 treaty visa.
We have not had any discussions with any U.S. officials where there has been any dialogue or pointing to the E2 visa being an area of concern. We know recently that there were some changes to the guidelines where there is now a residency component required. So prior, a CBI citizen, for want of a better word, so someone who become a citizen through the CBI program could apply for the E2 visa without having to reside in Grenada. The U.S. made some changes recently, which requires that there be a 3-year residency in Grenada before you can apply for the E2. That, in my view, mitigate any risk that, or mitigate the risk against maybe, I'm not sure exactly what the intention is, whether it's, well, I'm not certain what the intention is, but in any event, an individual would have had to apply to the US, would have gone through an application process. As I said, currently, you now have to reside in Grenada before you can apply for the E2 visa.
Okay, thank you. I see a question. Well, I see a hand for a question.
I'm so far away from the mic. Could I ask my question without the mic?
I can possibly repeat.
We just want to make sure everyone can hear you.
I think everybody can hear
Before the question is asked, I just wanted to also make a point regarding the E2. It's a very small percentage of individuals who apply for citizenship through the CBI program who have any interest in the E2 visa in the first instance.
Good afternoon, everybody. Sorry, I'm not sure if I'm battling a cold, but my throat is not acting well. I must commend this session this evening. It was very informative. I wish that more people came out. I'm hoping that the lives are filled with persons watching because we broke a lot of myths here. It's sad sometimes you hear on the street how people speak about the program, and it is completely opposite from what was shared tonight. My questions, one, is there a list of our current local agents in Grenada, or can you tell us how many local agents are there and what is the process of them receiving their license? Two, we have halted accepting applications from Russians. How do you think that would affect the longevity of the program, or what other effects you see because of that, because of us having to halt receiving applications from them? And last question, I'm asking for my club's benefit. I am the president of the St. Andrews Leo Club. Thank you for inviting us. I'm seeing the program helping or assisting lots of government projects. Thank you. Where does NGOs stand to receive assistance? Because, yes, our club is also looking for assistance. Thank you.
Okay, so in relation to the query about the local agents, the list of local agents are readily available on the CBI's website. There's a full link and list every individual who's a local agent. In fact, you would find most persons, before you even attempt to engage with somebody who purports to be a local agent, they would go to the CBI website and check to confirm that is indeed somebody the CBI unit identifies as one of the local agents for the program. In terms of the application process, you literally submit their application forms that the unit provides, the government provides for you to fill out, complete, and submit to national security. They undertake a full vetting of you and your associates. If you're a company, for instance, all of your directors, the government does due diligence on them to determine whether or not you are suitable persons to stand as local agents. Once the cabinet considers the application and examines you, you're either approved or denied. And of course, there is a license fee attached to it. I'm not recalling the license fee offhand. I think it's about $5,000, if I'm not mistaken. 5,000 US,
Correct.
yes.
And regarding funds to NGOs, that's a policy question. But here's what I'll suggest is come see me. I'm away next week, but I'm available from the week after. Come into the office, let's have a conversation, and perhaps I can provide you with some guidance in terms of how you could get some funding for your NGO.
I think there was one other part to that question that was missed. I believe it was asked, now that Russia is no longer part of the pool, how do you perceive the longevity of the program going into 2024 and beyond?
Yes, very important. So Russia, starting with the second half of 2022, as I said earlier, overtook China in terms of the submission rate at the unit, and we talked about why that is so. So we saw a significant increase in the application inflows. So in 2021, we received less than 600 applications. By the end of 2022, we received 1,251 applications. And thus far, in 2023, we have received more than 1,700 applications. And they are the majority Russian applications, right? So yes, not accepting Russian applications going forward will have a negative impact, I believe, on the revenue flows of the program. So we will see a reduction in the revenue, annual revenue generated by the program. However, we intend to mitigate that by embarking on a comprehensive marketing and promotions effort in 2024, which we believe we will see the result of by 2025. So although there'll be an impact, a negative impact, we're working to reduce what that impact looks like. And so it will not, I think, have any real impact on the sustainability of the program. It's just what the revenue flows will look like going forward.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks to you. So I just want to speak to the question of support for the NGOs and to say that the CBI program itself is one aspect of it, but then the developers also, as part of the contribution to Grenada, do have, in some instances, some outreach programs. So I would make reference to Range. They are the ones doing 6 census. So for example, they have already donated 2 buses to the Queen Elizabeth Home for Children. They have a program called Adult Teen Challenge, which is their own NGO through which they work with other NGOs and charitable organizations. And they have given out, for example, 250 wheelchairs, 20 scholarships to students to NULO. They were the ones who are the ones who are behind the development of the CMOS fishing and honey production through that NGO as well. Again, further support for NULO. And they are in the process of looking to develop further the student support in NULO. They were the ones who sponsored the Palestinian health mission of 14 doctors on the island recently. So I'm saying that some developers have a very conscientious program of supporting the community and building the connection with Grenada. So that's one. So you can reach out. In the long term, medium to long term, we intend to build out a CBI diaspora relationship where we can get these citizens, many of whom are high net worth individuals, not to merely sponsor 2 basketballs or 5 netballs or, some cricket bats. We want you to send emerging cricketers, for example, to the academy. We want you to take a contingent of youths, for example, to your factory, wherever it is located, so you can actually build up, the capacity and inspire young Grenadians to move to the next level. So these are some of the things that we have in mind in the medium to long term with the CBI diaspora.
Thank you, Mr. Duncan. There is a question that is coming in online. They say, good evening. What type of private projects would you like to see more of? What can Grenadians create or build to be approved projects?
So, and now I think that points to the fact that currently the approved projects are largely hotel plans, so existing in the tourism sector. We would like to see some diversification in offering. It's not just good for the applicants to have a variety of projects from which, or investment opportunities from which to choose, but as the question alludes to, it's also good for the economy, where you allow CBI funds to flow into various other sectors of the economy. Now, for specifics, I'm going to leave that to the chairman, but I do understand and appreciate and believe that we need some diversification in terms of the CBI investment offerings. Chair, you want to?
Yeah, there are no specifics. Truth be told, we do not know, because I made the point that the first time that we have heard an authoritative and a declarative, right, an authoritative statement on the role of CBI in Grenada's economic architecture was in 2023, May, from the Honorable Deacon Mitchell. And the program was in existence since 2014. And when you look at the Grenada National Sustainable Development Plan, there's no mention at all inside there about the role of CBI. And that's a plan that was developed when CBI was at least 3 years old. So as a government, I think there needs to be some consultation. The Ministry of Economic Development has work to do to determine the answer to that question, and it is badly needed by the policymakers to craft the framework, the priority sectors, and to build out how we are going to encourage and crowd in even Grenadians at home and abroad into the CBI space. So there's work to be done.
And so to the part of the question which speaks to how can Grenadians benefit? Yes, currently the process for an approved project and the investment quantum is quite onerous. And so there has been discussion among, at committee level, about how can we design offerings that will allow Grenadians in various communities to have an approved project. That discussion is ongoing. We haven't made any determination yet, but it's an active discussion. That's happening at the committee level, and I believe that we will have some suggestions, some recommendations for policymakers in the not too distant future.
Thank you, Thomas. Any other questions from the floor? I see a hand. 2 hands. It's getting hot now.
I like it.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
As Grenada is just one among many other Caribbean countries and around the world that have CBI programs, what exactly is our unique selling point? Why are we better, quote unquote, and why would potential investors choose us? And I would like to ask, if it is not, why isn't it aggressively marketed, like, for example, on British Airways flights and stuff like that, to really appeal to different people? That's just a question. Thanks.
So I'll answer the last part of your question first. So in the history of the program, there has not been any effort on behalf of government to market and promote the program. There has not been any budget allocation. And so the marketing effort has been largely left to the marketing agents, the local agents, and developers of projects. And so they controlled the narrative because they're spending the money. But this year, we have committed, the committee has committed to a budget of which represents 2% of the revenue for 2024, so that we can market, promote, control the narrative in the space. And so I'm not promising that you may see advertisements on in-flight magazines or in-flight video systems, but there's going to be an active program, marketing and promotional program coming out of the unit. The first part of the question?
First one was about why are we marketable? What are the main reasons
What's
why?
our USP?
Yes.
So until recently, that was the E2, I believe. Although many people did not go for the E2, it was something that they could do if they wanted to, right? So from a perception perspective, it brought some people to the program. One of the other selling points, I think, is access to China. I do not believe, and Nisha, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that there's any other program where there's visa-free access to China.
No, Grenada. Dominica was approved, but it's not really enacted as yet.
Yes.
So as of now, Grenada remains the only country with a CBI program that has visa-free access
actually has visa-free access to China. Yes.
Yeah.
So that's one of the selling points. And then another selling point we're working on is to be more efficient in the processing of the application, so that There is a defined standard process that the applications go through, and potential investors will know that within this window of time, you're going to have an answer.
Okay, I just want to add one footnote. I mean, I'm on public record as having made that point already, that I don't think there's any investor who wants to be part of a community of CBI citizens where there are bad actors, right? If you are carrying a Grenadian passport, you want to do so with confidence and pride. Therefore, the rigor of our DD process, as pointed out by Dr. Sandiford, to me, is one of our selling points, that you are not entering into a cohort of diaspora citizens who potentially can be pulled over by Interpol or FBI because of lax DD on the part of any particular program. So we want to maintain that, the cleanliness of the program.
Okay, just to add also, one of the things you would find potential applicants consider, particularly in the context of our real estate option, is the quality of real estate development being offered, right? So in Grenada, for instance, we have 6 Senses and the Intercontinental that's coming. That's very attractive for applicants to want to buy into. Also, we have, for instance, Silver Sands, another very attractive investment for persons to want to buy into. So obtaining citizenship and likewise being able to own this type of real estate development is something that attracts persons to your program too.
Yeah. I believe there was another question from the floor.
Good afternoon. So I have a question here. I understand the UK is looking to restrict or even eliminating granting entry to CBI holders of the passports. And what is CBI plan if it happens, especially if the EU also does the same?
Okay, so
I have another question after that, but you can answer that one.
Yeah, so I don't know that there's an active effort to end the visa-free access specifically to Grenada. That was the point of your question? Yeah. So I'm not aware of any active effort on the part of the UK to end the visa-free access for Grenadians. What I am aware of is the imposition of an electronic pre-registration system similar to what I talked about, ETIAS. And in the UK, it's called the ETA. That, I believe, is coming into being November of next year. And so every country, citizens who want to go to the UK, once that becomes effective, will have to pre-register again, similarly to what I spoke about regarding the European ETIAS version. So pre-registration, paying a fee, and waiting for authorization to be able to travel into the UK. But I am not aware that there's any active effort to end visa-free access to UK for Grenadians.
Okay, so is this also true? The EU is actually planning to institute visa requirements for 5 CBI countries, including Grenada, due to the volume of CBI entering the EU.
Again, we are not aware that there's any active effort. What the EU has signaled is that the European Commission has signaled that having a CBI program will be one of the planks on which they assess whether or not a country continues to enjoy visa-free access. But if we look at that in the context of an ETIAS environment, again, where you have to pre-register, everyone globally who is not a European is going to have to register, pre-register before they travel to the EU. But yes, the European Commission has made recommendation to the European Parliament that having a CBI program is one of the assessments that they will look at when determining whether a country should retain or should get visa-free access to the Schengen area.
Okay, so last question.
Just let me put in a footnote. So in that case, then each program is going to be treated differently. And one of the specific issues that they raise is not just having a CBI program, but if they see a certain increase in the number of persons arriving on the shores, claiming asylum and refugee status, because that has been a problem with some of the programs. That is a worry for them in terms of security. But again, to the CEO's point, if you have to pre-register before you get on a plane from wherever you are, we could deny you, well, not entry, but deny you exit, because you cannot leave your home country if you don't present the airline and immigration with your ETS or ETA approval. And what we saw in the case of Dominica recently was precisely that, where they had, in the case of the UK, enough of those instances of people turning up with these passports wanting to seek asylum and refugee status. And the last point is with respect to the ETA. For example, Australia is a member of the Commonwealth. And as you know, among Commonwealth countries do not require a visa to travel, except, for example, Canada in our case. But as far back as before CBI existed, if you want to go to Australia, you have to get an electronic travel authorization, but not a visa. So it is not anything new, and it's not CBI related or induced, in my opinion.
Last question. I can't remember your name.
Dr. Sandiford.
Dr. Sandiford? Yeah. So in your presentation, I've seen some numbers for South Africa, right? And they're looking good. And knowing that we have, there were talks, I think the present administration, about exploring Africa, side of Africa, as to have diaspora link with them. Is there any proactive approach right now for CBI marketing the CBI program there?
Well, as I said earlier, we have...
When you say the South Africa, you're talking about the number of millionaires.
Yes, in terms of that, because if we are going to capitalize on money for the transformation fund, where the money goes to, and there are black brothers and sisters like me, you know, and they have us to believe that South Africa is so far from the Caribbean, and it's just right there. You know, nobody is venturing going over the Middle Passage. But if a proactive approach is made to attract these people here. But another thing I think CBI has to work on is the mindset of our people in terms of how we look at particular people, you know. That's our brothers and sisters across there. And whereas there's a lot of bad things going on there, there's a lot of good things going on there. You know, if you follow Ghana Baby, you will see that South Africa is there are certain parts there prosperous. So if there is a proactive approach to market CBI there, could you please tell us?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes,
so I mentioned earlier, thank you for the question, that we'll be embarking on a comprehensive marketing plan in 2024. And I did mention West Africa, and forgive me for not mentioning South Africa, but all of Africa where we see an uptick in interest, we will certainly be going to those places, partnering with individuals on the ground to host events so that we can speak directly to potential applicants as well as engage marketing agents on the ground in those countries, South Africa being one of them.
Thank you. There are 3 questions that I want to get to from online, but before I do that, there is a barcode that is on the program that was given to each person that came in here today. Please remember to kindly scan it and complete the survey that's attached. Your opinions and your feedback will help significantly in developing further the PR program that the unit has for Grenada. Yeah? Online, I believe the barcode is visible right now. You can also make use of it and complete the survey. We will be greatly appreciative of your effort. Now back to the questions. There is more of a, I guess, a commentary. It's Spice Scholar, as she calls herself, says, it would be great to see CBI Transformation Fund contributions channeled into more environmental conservation projects. How can Grenadians influence the priorities of where the money is spent?
Yeah, well, I think it's through the consultative process, and that's why I made the point earlier that the Ministry of Economic Development, along with ourselves, need to come up with this framework, and I would suggest through a process of consultation, make those determinations. So that's, and I think that the approach that usually is taken to these things to ensure that you get it right will involve, stakeholders, and that's how the public will get to influence how the government frames the policy with respect to that inclusion of other sectors and priority areas.
Thank you. Any? Oh, okay. Now, is there an upper limit to how many citizens Grenada is willing to absorb through the program? Same individual says we're a small nation, 10,000 plus is a significant amount already. Any commentary here?
Policy question.
Policy question. No, I think the question is a valid one, and I do not think that any macroeconomic analysis has been done to determine, the number of citizens, because as it is now, you are not thinking about if these 10 folks were to arrive, in the space of 6 months onto the island, seeking accommodation, looking to start up businesses and so on and so forth. Can the economy really and truly absorb, these high net worth individuals within a short space of time? And the answer obviously is no. That type of analysis has not been done. But the question is it really feasible to think that all 10,000 would want to come to Grenada, start a business or launch off and have a business presence in Grenada? I think that our role, our headache should not be to think along those lines. Our headache will be to determine how and which ones of them we'll want to bring here to run the business, to invest further, and to help in the future growth and development of the economy. How do we get them? How do we build that diaspora, and how do we get them to come on here? Rather than be fearful that, boy, all 10,000 might show up here, one day in the future. That's how I like to look at it.
And so, although I deem it a policy question, I'm going to venture a comment that is thought-provoking, I think. And just state the fact that there are 2/3 of Grenadians living outside of Grenada, so that there's a diaspora. That's 300,000, I understand, compared to the 110, 125,000 who live here. And also, these applicants or investors are not, their primary focus is not to move to the country. As I said, it's more about mobility, global mobility, and having a security blanket, so plan B, in the event of something happening in the country that they're living, that they can leave the country. So for example, a war breaks out in a country, and individuals who are trying to leave, those who are deemed foreigners or having a foreign passport, are given priority. So these are the kinds of things that people think about as they get second citizenship, but it's not to move to the country.
Okay. Just to spin off of that one question as well, an individual is asking, does that 10,000 figure include family members, or is it just main applicants?
Yeah, so the 10,000 figure we showed earlier is number of citizens,
Okay.
not applications. I believe Dr. Sandy's figure, which is a lower number, was applications. But the number on my slide was number of citizens, which was 10,000, just below 11,000.
Thank you. I believe we have a question from the floor.
Yes, thank you very much, and pleasant night to the panel, and I'm really delighted in this program. And thank you very much for the positive response and the information regarding grassroots initiatives that you're going to be supporting, and an example of the support I'm seeing right here with these beautiful blue T-shirts with the CBI on its label. So thank you very much. The two questions I have: do CBI citizens vote in Grenada? Can they vote?
Well, let's put it this way. Grenada doesn't have two classes of citizens. There's only one class. So whether you were born citizen by investment or by naturalization or other means, you have certain rights. I do not know of any citizen by investment who has qualified to register to vote. Now, I'm told that there are one or two who are resident on the island. I was hearing about one who started or opened a tile store or whatever and so forth. And of course, that individual will have the right, like any other Grenadian, to exercise all the rights that a citizen has.
So it would mean that they would have had to satisfy the 1-year residency status.
They have to comply like anybody else,
Okay.
yes.
So that if 1,000 of them decide to take a plane and come and vote at the election next time, they can't vote until they would have satisfied the 1-year residency requirement.
Same rules.
Good.
As you know, if you are a Commonwealth citizen, the rule is slightly different.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Good. Secondly, I'm concerned about this EU report that has singled out Grenada in a manner that is extremely concerning and should be concerning to all of us. The title of the article came out on October 18th. The editor of the report is Christian Henrik Nishim. And this is what he says the EU Commission has decided. The part I want to read to you is the part that says, concerned about high acceptance rates and name changes. I'm particularly concerned about the name change part. And this is what they say. And they single out Grenada to be having the lowest bar of the 5 OECS countries. We have the lowest bar on name changes, so they're particularly coming after us. Among the concerns raised in the report was the Caribbean CBI countries giving permission to CBI investors to change their names upon naturalization as a citizen of each of these islands. This is what they said about the 5 of us. To various extents, all 5 countries allow successful applicants the possibility to change identity after having obtained citizenship by investment. In Antigua and Barbuda and Dominica, it is allowed as of 5 years after obtaining citizenship. In Grenada, after 1 year. In St. Vincent and in St. Kitts and Nevis, it is allowed upon obtaining citizenship. So it's worse in the case of St. Kitts and Nevis, So 5 years Antigua, 1 year Grenada, no time at all in the case of St. Kitts. As you become a citizen, that's it. The Commission also questioned the high acceptance rates of the Caribbean citizen by investment applications. So I'd like your comments on those.
So thank you for the opportunity to provide some color. Chair, you wanted to?
No, sir, go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you for the opportunity to provide some color to that comment. And so we saw that as a committee and a unit, and we were quite perturbed with the way the report crafted that message. So, yes, you can change your name, but here's how you have to change your name, what you have to do first. Your name change has to take place in the country of origin through the normal legal processes. That may mean a deed poll, yeah? So you have to change your name if you're Russian in Russia. Your passports and other ID documents must be changed to that new name. And you submit an application with all of that evidence, including the documents that you would have tabled to change your name before you're allowed to change your name. So what is the mischief that you're trying to avoid by allowing someone to change their name? That is the opportunity to have two different identities, so that you'd have one name in your home country documents, one name in your new country documents. So the fact that that you must change your name in your home country does not allow that to happen. Okay? So it's not a matter of you coming, having been granted Grenadian citizenship, and make the name change. You must do it in your country of origin, provide that evidence, along with your new ID documents in order to be able to change your name.
So, footnote. The EU sent out a questionnaire, many questions, and I would ask you the same question that we just answered, right? The how was never part of the questionnaire, and that is where I think the CEO is saying that it is not as they are making it out to be, not how long do you have to wait. Because if they have to wait 5 years, let's say in one other country, and they could change it flippantly in that country after waiting for 5 years, to me, that is a high-risk situation as opposed to waiting 1 year and do it as the CEO just explained. So what we have undertaken to do is to rejoin the EU with respect to that questionnaire and articulate and provide a law that treats with how you go about a name change in Grenada so that they can clarify the understanding of that 1 year, I call it a 1 year name change rule. So that will be clarified.
And Councillor just reminded me that on that certificate, it will also say formerly known as. Formerly known as. So that, again, the mischief is the opportunity to have two different identities, and so the process we employ does not allow that to happen.
Thank you, panelists. I think that brought quite a bit of clarity to that issue. If there are there any more questions? If not, yes, just one. I'm going to let this be the last question before we close off the question and answer section. Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. As per the Citizen by Investment Act, there are three main investment options. Are there any other options being contemplated apart from the possibility of purchasing government bonds that Dr. Sandiford alluded to earlier?
Doc, you spoke about the IMRT event where some suggestions were made. You want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, thank you for the observation. As I mentioned, there are three routes to citizenship: Section 10, Section 11, Section 11A. And there was a conference yesterday, Investment Migration Roundtable, it's called. And there were some discussions as regards to possibilities of expanding, going beyond those three possibilities. And one was government bond. Well, of course, under Section 11A, you can invest in a company, buy shares in a company, as well as open a business. So coming out of that IMRT, there were a number of suggestions, at least 4 suggestions that we can explore. So at the unit, I guess we'd have to, suss them out and see, bring it to policymakers, give them our take on it, our suggestion as regards to whether or not we can move forward with those options. And if there's agreement on it, then we can, legislate those new routes to citizenship through the CBI.
Okay, so that brings us to the end of our question and answer segment. I want to thank all of you for participating, those of you that are here with us in the audience, and those of you who are viewing online. I think the questions were quite leading, and we got to have some very interactive dialogue. Now, as we move the agenda further along, I want to take the opportunity to reference a very special sponsorship that has occurred, a partnership that we believe will bring some great synergy between the community development and the Grenada Citizenship by Investment Unit. Now, before you heard mention of the Rainbow City All-Stars, and then you also heard mention of the CBI Rainbow City All-Stars. And so today we're pleased to talk about a partnership, a synergy, and now the Rainbow City All-Stars, as you have known them historically, are the CBI Rainbow City All-Stars. Okay. So in a demonstration of its corporate responsibility, the Citizenship by Investment Unit is proud to announce that it is now the exclusive sponsor of the Rainbow City All-Stars. Hey! And as you remember, they graced us with some melodious rhythms at the beginning of today's event. Now, this sponsorship reflects the unit's commitment to supporting the development of Grenada's culture through its relationship with the orchestra, with the expectations that it will impact the lives of the Grenadian public and young aspiring musicians. So I want to ask Ms. Claudette James, who is the Operations and Human Resource Manager and an avid pan lover, to come to the front of the stage. And she will now present a check for $158,560 to the Rainbow City All-Stars. And I'm also going to call Carrie Fortune, Secretary of the Orchestra, up here to receive the check. That is a heavy check, Ms. James. I hope you can hold it good. Make sure and hold it well. Sure. Thank you. Give it up again for this wonderful partnership. I believe Ms. Fortune, you would. Sure.
Accept this sponsorship on behalf of the Rainbow City All-Stars Steel Orchestra. We, the members and supporters of Rainbow City All-Stars, are indeed honored to have been chosen as the recipient for this generous gesture. Rainbow City All-Stars have been unsponsored for the past 17 years. This, however, though restricting our development and success in major competitions, has never wavered our commitment to share our love for steel pan music with St. Andrew and, by extension, Grenada. As you have witnessed this evening, our band is a very youthful band, and we pride ourselves to be involved in most schools in St. Andrew, to include secondary schools as well as the primary schools through our steel pan music program. We also pride ourselves to be the first and only steel band from outside of St. George to ever win National Panorama. The showers that we've experienced earlier today, we are convinced that these were tears of joy shed by our founding father, Joseph Squires Date. We assure you, our dear sponsor, that the trust that you have placed in us will not be misplaced. As we say thanks, we also give you our commitment that we will continue to contribute positively to the development of youth in St. Andrew and work assiduously to bring home many more championships. Thank you for welcoming us into the CBI family. Thank you for your contribution to our culture. Thank you for your belief in Rainbow City All-Stars and for investing in the youth of St. Andrew. I invite our members, supporters, residents of St. Andrew, supporters also of the CBI Rainbow City All-Stars to stand and show appreciation to our official sponsor, Citizenship by Investment, with a lusty round of applause. CBI, we thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fortune. Again, I just want to encourage you to fill out the questionnaire. You can do it manually as well if you don't have a phone to scan in the QR code. I'm actually going to pause for 1 minute to make sure that I look at you guys filling out that form. The same applies to those of you online. Your feedback is always, always respected and regarded. So please take the time to fill out the survey. While we do that, I know that there was a little competition that was thrown out to the schools. We said the school with the most representation here would get a site visit of one of the projects. So I'm going to ask all of those from the schools to please stand up so we can get a count of who is actually here and who's walking away with the prize. Colleen, are you keeping count? So, okay, stand up, stay up, stand up. We're going to start up here with the young lady with the black hoodie. What school are you representing? SAS? All of you are SAS, yeah? And over here? How many from SAS is over here? Stand up. So we have 4 SAS here and 5. So 9? Colleen, you keeping count? All right, sit down. Okay, the other schools stand up. What other schools we had? I heard Convent. So you have 2 presentations. So, okay, which schools are represented? No. And the 2 guys? Okay, so then we know right now SAS is still ahead. Okay, thank you. Any other schools represented? We including Tam CC? Okay. Are we including Tam CC? There's resounding no. So SAS takes the win. Thank you very much for coming out this evening. Awesome. All right. And this takes us to the very end of this evening's symposium, but of course we cannot leave without giving thanks, and so I want to invite Ms. Ria Burke, the Marketing and Communications Officer at the Grenada Citizenship by Investment Unit, just to offer some remarks and a vote of thanks.
Nisha, I'm short, you know. It's okay. Good night, everyone. I know we're all tired, so allow me to stand on the protocol already established. As we come to the closing of the Citizenship by Investments second Demystifying Investment Migration Public Symposium, the unit would like to express its utmost appreciation. It has been an enlightening and enriching experience, and we want to extend our sincerest thanks to all of you who have been a part of this remarkable event, both here with us in person and for those of you who would have joined us online. First and foremost, we would like to express our profound appreciation to all of the members of the public who participated in this symposium. Your very presence, your active involvement, your questions, and your valuable insights have been the driving force behind this event. Your willingness to share your concerns and expectations has been recorded. And it is instrumental, in helping us shape a better relationship with you, the public. Senator the Honorable Gloria Thomas, Senator the Honorable David Andrews, we thank you for being here with us tonight. Our esteemed speakers, Dr. Wayne Sandiford, Mr. Thomas Anthony, and Ms. Dia Forrester for contributing your time, knowledge, and expertise here with us tonight. Mr. Richard Duncan for his opening remarks. CBI committee member, Mr. Ronald Theodore, other committee members, CBI staff, we thank you for your continued diligence and support. The now CBI Rainbow City All-Stars, thank you for blessing our ears here tonight with their sweet renditions. TNR for our live broadcast and technical assistance, media houses, other specially invited guests. I must not forget to thank, however, the incredible Thera Lee of Sourceit Grenada, who worked tirelessly to organize and execute this symposium. Your dedication and hard work has been exemplary, and it is evident in the success of this event. We could give her a clap. This symposium is a testament to the unit's commitment to transparency and community engagement. We set out with a clear goal, to hear the concerns of the public and to initiate the process of changing the current narrative surrounding the CBI. And I am proud to say we have taken significant strides toward that goal tonight. In closing, I want to reiterate that this symposium is not the end, but the beginning of a journey. We are committed to continue dialogue and action to address your concerns. The insights gained from the symposium will play a vital role in the ongoing improvements and developments of the CBI's relationship with the Grenadian public. Thank you once again to everyone who played a part in this symposium. Your engagement and support are the cornerstones of our progress. We wish everyone a safe journey home, and just a reminder that we have some light refreshments for you at the back on your way out. Thank you once again.
And that's a wrap. Thanks again, everyone, for coming out tonight, especially with the weather the way it was.
Hideaway True Blue Luxury Apartments, Mount Cinnamon Villas, Mariposa Condominiums. There are also other approved projects currently under construction, including Six Senses, Grenada's Investment Migration Program. The Citizenship by Investment CBI program came into being in August 2013 when the Grenadian Parliament passed Act No. 15 of 2013, referred to as the Grenadian Citizenship by Investment Act 2013. This allowed Grenada to commence its program to offer qualified individuals two investment options in obtaining Grenadian citizenship. 1. An investment into the National Transformation Fund, or 2. An investment towards an approved project in Grenada. National Transformation Fund. The National Transformation Fund, NTF, is responsible for funding government-sponsored projects in Grenada throughout various sectors, which have touched many lives throughout Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique, with some of the recent ones being in health, the upgrade of health facilities, Westerhall, Good Hope, and Victoria, the purchase of medical equipment, and the electronic health information system. In agriculture, Climate Smart Agriculture and Rural Enterprise Program, the Carriacou Fish Market, and St. George's Abattoir refurbishment. In youth, the M-Power Program. In social development, the Grand Bacalet Juvenile Rehabilitation and Treatment Center. In sports, the refurbishment of the National Cricket Stadium, the lighting of the National Cricket Stadium, and the lighting of playing fields. In culture, the Sea Moon Cultural Center. In climate resilience, the Grenada Geothermal Development Project and the Solar PV Battery Hybrid Project. In infrastructure, the Hermitage St. Patrick Road Project, the Asphalt Works and Maintenance Program, the St. John's River Flood Mitigation Project, agricultural feeder roads, the Molinaire Landslip Rehabilitation Project, the construction, refurbishment, and extension of the government building, the Sutter's Breakwater Project, the traffic lights, and Mount Kuma Road. In infrastructure in Carriacou and Petite Martinique, road rehabilitation in Petite Martinique, the Petite Martinique Enhancement Project, the Road Rehabilitation Project in Carriacou, asphalt and concrete works at Carriacou, and the Carriacou Fish Market. Approved real estate projects. Approved project is defined as a project that is approved by the Minister following the review and recommendation of the Citizenship by Investment Committee. These approved projects provide direct employment to many Grenadians during their construction phase and provide markets for our farmers and fisher folks, in addition to further direct employment for culinary personnel, customer service representatives, artists, artisans, taxi and tour operators, to name a few, touching many sectors and lives when they become operational. To date, there are quite a few CBI-approved projects that are completed and operational. The Point at Petite Calavini Villa and Apartments, Hideaway True Blue Luxury Apartments, Mount Cinnamon Villas, Mariposa Condominiums. There are also other approved projects currently under construction, including Six Senses, Intercontinental Hotel and Villas Grenada, the Beach House Resort, The View, Kawana Bay Resort, and St. David Agro and Cottage Incorporated. Grenada's Investment Migration Program, the CBI, continues to change lives through its continuous contributions to the development and growth of our economy. Grenada's Investment Migration Program, the Citizenship by Investment